Guys, thanks for coming today. Just to refresh your mind, the topic of this room today is the new future of e-commerce, top trends to follow in 2021. Firstly, for those who see me for the first time today, my name is Kateryna Belova, and I am VP of Digital Transformation at Computools. As for our company, Computools, we are a full cycle web and mobile development team. Full cycle, which means we offer all the services starting from development till further technical support. So we also do offer QA testing, project management, UI UX design, business analysis, everything what is needed to start a business. As for our clients, we work mostly with mid-size and enterprise companies. With both clients, I mean, if you have a project you would like to start from scratch, or if you have an ongoing project and you would like to improve something to digitalize part of it. So we are also more than happy to assist you with this. As for the areas of businesses, so it's mostly retail, healthcare, finance, auto industry, and also other. Let's just make a step back to our topic, e-commerce. So the e-commerce industry is always changing, and this year has been no different. More than ever, merchants are creating and improving their e-commerce business to meet customers where they are. While it may seem like everything in e-commerce is evolving, we just narrowed it down to the biggest trends that will affect businesses in the coming months and years. So basically, we spoke with leaders in the industry about the changes this year, and they had a lot to share. So my presentation will contain all these trends today. And so let's talk about 40 e-commerce trends to follow in 2021 to be on the top. The first trend we'll start with is augmented reality. So augmented reality enhances the reality of online shopping. AR has been a complete game changer for e-commerce. With this type of technology, shoppers can truly see the items they are shopping for, which just helps them make a buying decision. AR really changed the shopping experiences in specific industries, such, for example, the fashion industry and home decor, because the customer can get a better feel for the item without just seeing it in person. In 2020, Gartner predicted that about 100 million customers will shop using AR by 2021. So it will be interesting to see how that shapes this year. Let's move forward to trend number 2. There will be a growing volume of voice search. Not only do more people own a smart speaker, but they also rely on a voice assistant to complete just daily tasks. For example, Loop Ventures forecasts that about 75% of USA households will own a smart speaker by 2021. As more homes adopt smart speakers, just more consumers will utilize voice search to shop online, order food, or organize their lives. And this rise of voice search creates an opportunity for an e-commerce business in terms of keywords and content. Also, another reason why voice commerce is on the rise is the growing accuracy and convenience of the technology. For example, both Google and Amazon are pushing regional languages in their virtual assistant devices just to help customers shop more conveniently. Therefore, it's essential to optimize your online store. Sorry for that. Therefore, it's just essential to optimize your online store for voice search. And here are 4 ways to prepare your e-commerce site for voice queries. So you can optimize your content to increase your chances of appearing in the voice search. Add new skills on Alexa and Google Voice Assistant devices. offer voice-based navigation on your website and mobile app, and also you can ensure your products can be purchased with a simple flow using voice command. So yeah, we can move forward to trend number 3. It's about AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and machine learning make it possible for the customer to have just automated, personalized shopping experiences. AI is just continuously collecting data on how a customer shops, when they buy purchases, and what they are looking for in a product or in a service. It's a piece of technology that really can't be replicated in store. So how to advantage? Well, first of all, improves efficiency and reduce costs. So if we're talking about big data and machine learning, they are just partners in crime to artificial intelligence. This trio has helped countless businesses automate tasks which would just have otherwise been impossible to do manually. So how do you think, for example, Amazon just managed to change product price by about 2.5 million times a day? So it would have been humanly impossible for them to go through such a waste data pool and then come up with a modified pricing of products just wherever necessary. And also, you can create smarter strategies with the predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is just one of the ways how AI can turn out to be a fruitful technology for e-commerce. Some of its other branches are behavioral analytics, automation, also inventory management, and image recognition. It's because of a wide range of applications using in that the AI revenue is expected to reach about $36.8 billion worldwide by 2021. Let's move forward to personalization. So trend number 4, on-site personalization use the AI insights to create individualized experiences. So if we are talking about buyers of all sorts, including B2C and B2B, they are looking for personalized custom shopping experiences online. The data collected from AI is what makes it possible for a buyer to get personalized product recommendations and just detailed customer service. Implementing personalized experiences on site or in marketing just efforts has been shown to have a strong effect on revenue, which one study finding it had about 25% revenue lift for retailers scaling advanced personalized capabilities. According to Gartner, for example, AI-powered personalization becoming just increasingly relevant in 2021. And they say that as brands harness and leverage more data, they will be able to create incredibly relevant experiences for shoppers that will just feel tailor-made. Trend number 5, chatbots improve shopping experiences. Yeah, chatbots, that's not something really new. Yeah, we heard about them for last, I guess, 10 years or even more, but they are still very recommended. They just interact with online shoppers much like an in-store sales assistant would do. And today's shoppers want to be able to find or to buy a product just in a few clicks. And if they can't, they get frustrated. They just exiting your app or your store. This is where a chatbot can just step in and save your sale. And experts predict that about 80% of businesses will be using chatbots in 2021. Chatbots are all the rage today for customer support. However, personally, I think they will drastically change the way people shop online. They will become one of the most important marketing tools. For example, if you are talking about retail space, so self-checkout kiosks will probably become the norm, and in-store marketing will just increase. Trend number 6 is about mobile shopping. And yeah, mobile shopping is still on the move. Mobile shopping allows customers to make purchases from just anywhere, which is vital in today's world. However, if your e-commerce site isn't responsible on mobile or through web apps, you will be missing a lot of opportunities. Shoppers who are mobile users want the added convenience plus the ability to also to pay digitally. So at the moment, you can see that about 58% of all users just buy online via mobile, and Statista estimated that by the end of this year, that will be already about 73%. Also, talking about the buying online, do not forget about giving more ways to pay. So customers have individualized needs, and they want individualized experiences, as we talked just previously. And when it comes to payment methods, they also might cancel a potential sale if they can't pay how they want on e-commerce website. Offering a wide variety of ways to pay is a good way to increase conversion rates on mobile devices. Plus, if customers can save their payment information on your website, they will be able to check out even faster next time they make a purchase. So how to advantage? Firstly, you can reduce cart abandonment with more payment methods. So credit cards were synonyms with online payment for a long time. However, the emergency of payment methods like e-wallet, bank transfer, prepaid cards, cash on delivery, and other are alike compelled e-commerce platforms to integrate these methods with their platforms. And as if this wasn't enough, you can also use cryptocurrency nowadays to pay. With over about 50 shoppers exiting an app if they don't find the preferred payment method. Also, more payment methods lead to improved customer experience. And if we are talking about an e-commerce business that wants to reach the top of food chain, it can just ignore any of available payment methods, and it can quickly just turn out to be a mammoth of tasks to handle, because there are about 140 online payments methods available on e-commerce platform. So you can choose wherever you like, wherever your customer needs. And the more payment methods, payment options you provide, the easier it is for the customer to buy the product and for you just to get money, basically. Okay, let's go to trend number 8, and is customers respond to video. So we will talking about also a little bit about the video content that is increasingly extremely popular today and useful. So the importance of videos just can't be understated. Videos can help you explain and showcase your products better than image ever can. It's true. Video proved to be a great way to engage customer in 2021, and it's not going away anytime soon. So creating videos for your website is a great way to instantly grab and engage your customer and inform them about your product or your service. Personally, I see the use of podcasting and short video content to augment the opportunity for buyers to learn about how an e-commerce brand's products and services just provide the solution to the opportunity, challenge, or problem the buyer is looking to answer. With these two forms of content, development just comes the technology to micro track the user's engagement. And also here are just 6 clever ways to use video and e-commerce, just 6 short ideas, probably for your future video content. So you can make a tutorial video, show how to use a product. You can tell a story that advocates emotion. You can do an entertaining video. You can record a message from the CEO. You can also do influencer endorsement, and last but not least, you can show people using or getting results from the product. Okay, I guess it's everything for this.
Kateryna, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now,
okay.
Yes.
So there was like a pause from my side, something with the connection?
Yeah, for 20 seconds or something.
Okay, so I will just start again with this trend. So yeah, trend number 8 is subscription keeps customer coming back. And as I said, this is not really something new, as well as chatbots, for example, but still quite important, and you just have to keep in mind. Yeah, there are subscriptions of all sorts these days, and their convenience is attractive for customers. For companies, subscription services create a way to just plan for inventory and sales that are already locked in. For example, David Zimmerman, who is director of e-commerce solutions at Kensium, still predicts that just more companies will offer subscription services or monthly payment options for larger purchases in 2021. Yeah, next trend is about sustainability. So I guess there is quite popular topic for this year, and more and more people are taking care about the planet, and it also has some type of connection with the e-commerce business. So customers and businesses alike are becoming more aware of the environment, and because of this, customers are being more conscious about where they shop and the impact it has on the environment and related effects. So one survey found that 53% of respondents would pay 15 cents for sustainable packaging, 75 wanted to see less packaging, and about 50 wanted more sustainability in the fashion industry. Many businesses are finding ways to be more eco-friendly by going paperless when possible, or using biodegradable packaging, or using recyclable supplies, for example.
Hello, Ralph.
Hi. Anything wrong with the system?
No. Everything is good. I think you should join one of the 3 rooms with mobile development, e-commerce, and the healthcare. It's on the line already. So, what room would you like to join?
I go there. Okay. Sorry, it was late.
Of which you have the best chance of selling your product while making the maximum possible profits. You can use dynamic pricing just software to determine the best price for your products. These tools provide just real-time insights into your competitors' price, market demand, and perceived value of your products to just determine the optimal costs. Next trend is connected to the influencers. So I guess this topic is quite popular last time, and there are a lot of influencers around us, also including the e-commerce industry. So yeah, most of e-commerce brands have just stepped into influencers over the years to leverage their vast audience. According to Influencer Marketing Hub, the influencer marketing industry was expected just to reach about $7.5 billion in 2021. Yeah, just why influencer marketing is such major boon for e-commerce brands. So many e-commerce brands have a content problem in that they are unable just to create enough content at scale to support the marketing efforts. In 2021, and trends we will see is brands looking to influencers as content creators to support the content creating process, just in lieu of content agency. We will also see the brands add just paid media spend to this content so that they can control the reach and the audience. Yeah, here you can also see a few suggestions how to advantage in this situation, what you can do, just really step-by-step, short instruction, I would say, so you can try to do it. Yeah, let's move forward. Also, I would like to speak about social commerce, which is critical to omni-channel experience. Yeah, get more traffic by harnessing social media. There are about 3.5 billion social media users in the world, and social commerce lets you just tap into this massive pool of potential customers. No matter how good an e-commerce website you create, it would hardly even beat the traffic volume search media website enjoy. You can try redirecting some of this traffic to your website or sell the products on social media platforms. But in any case, leveraging social media platforms should be a significant part of your e-commerce strategy. So as you can see, about 87% of the shoppers say social media sites help them with a buying decision. So they think they help them. Yeah, how to advantage? You can utilize positive reviews to get more sales. It is known that the positive review on these sites can help elevate the product price by 9.5%, whereas conversion rate goes up to 133 from mobile shoppers reading reviews on social websites. Also, you can expand your store to social channels. Another reason for social commerce to be an e-commerce trend is an ability to improve an omni-channel shopping experience. Customers can now buy products just directly from the social website, and that's too with a few clicks. In fact, 30% of customers say that they would prefer buying products this way. And the last but not least, so better UI UX leads to more customer retention. Retain more customers with better UI UX. Its first impressions are lasting, and 94% of them are design related.
Kateryna, are you still here?
Is it something wrong with her, or can you hear me?
I can hear you, but not Kateryna.
Okay.
So I guess she's frozen the picture. I guess she's
Yeah.
somewhere in the world.
Something happened. Okay, maybe this time I think we could try to do some kind of questions. I can write them, type, and then we will ask Kateryna. I hope she will join us again. Actually, I don't know
Maybe
what
she
happened.
got a new job now. So it's fast times, fast changes. So.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, go.
Okay, well, what questions do you have, at least for now? Maybe Scott or Ralph?
No, for me,
Miriam?
it's same as last time right now. No. So I agree.
Okay, so actually I prepared 2 questions to Kateryna Belova. Okay, she's here now.
No, we
Yeah,
know
but
you. Seen you before.
sorry, I had some problems with the internet today, the whole day. So let me share my screen again. Yeah, I was also by the end already. Alex, is everything fine, right?
Yeah. Everything is good now.
Okay. So yeah, I stopped somewhere here, I guess. So yeah, I just started talking about how funny is it that the technologies and the platforms and trends we discussed in previous slides, they just don't even come into the picture if the website is poorly designed. So it should not take a burning trend for you to just realize that success has a custom-centric approach, and it's heard. And companies like Airbnb, Google, Uber, Apple, and all the enterprise companies owe a lot of their prosperity to user-centric designs and strategies. Moreover, UI UX has one of the best ROIs, and on Amazon, for example, they invest 100 times more on customer experience compared to advertising. They made such visitors, they made sure visitors don't get lost in the jungle of the products and catalogs and quickly find just what they need, buy it, and that's it. The personalized suggestions sweeten the deal even further. Yeah, better designs lead to improved conversion rates. So making visitors stay longer on the website and having them just keep returning to the site is an ability everyone wants to possess these days. And the continuously shrinking attention snaps make it even more available virtue. And yes, a researcher by Forrester suggested frictionless UX design can increase conversion rate by 400%, and stats like this are going to motivate businesses to invest more in a custom-oriented UI UX design. So if you haven't been focusing on better UI UX yet, this is the perfect time to invest in human-centered design. Here I have the summary of everything what we discussed today. And yeah, thanks for your attention. Here are some contact details, our website, our contact info, so info mail, and my personal email, phone number, and LinkedIn profile. So if you have any questions related to your business, to e-commerce, or any other sphere you're working in, you can just shortly ping me on LinkedIn and have free consultation or something like this. So you are more than welcome to join my network.
Hello, everyone. So first of all, can you hear me well? Okay, so I suppose that's mean yes. Then first of all, thank you for joining the conference. My name is Vitaliy, and I'm CTO at Computools. And today I'm going to talk more about the hybrid mobile application development, what technology right now is used in market, what's their pros and cons. So right now, if we can see, so there are several ways you can build the mobile applications. So first of all, and I would say the most effective is the native. So of course, it's going to be the most effective, the most fastest, the most stable solution. But unfortunately, it is the most expensive way to build your applications today. So that's why many of different companies try to achieve the cross-platform development, and first tries were basically made by such players as Ionic and PhoneGap. So how does they work? Basically, is a web engine that works with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, just like the regular web browser, but it tries to wrap it inside of the APK or iOS bundle, and is possible to deploy it to specific stores. But actually, still, even they have a lot of cons more than pros, actually. So the first things which is not good about them is performance. Because it is a web engine, and it is also a restricted web engine, so it's like not a full-fledged Chromium or other, for example, iOS web engine. They still have some restrictions, and they tend to be extremely big after it's getting compiled. And also, I would say it's not very performant. So if we're going to build the same application using by Ionic, for example, and a native application, you probably going to see a difference in many ways, with any transitions, with every change of the data, with working with the heavy assets. Everything within the Ionic application is going to be harder to look at because it's going to work slower. So that's why people try to build something different. So use more of the native platform rather than build a web solution for this. And that's where we go to the React Native, Flutter, NativeScript, and Xamarin. So right now, I would say the two most biggest competitors on this side is React Native and Flutter. Why? So NativeScript is a pretty good solution, but it didn't actually have a big understanding from the developer's side of view. I wouldn't say that it's very popular, that there are too many of different modules for that, and it's going to be really hard to find developers for the NativeScript development, for example. And the differences between the React Native and NativeScript, for example, aren't that big. But still, because the React Native was one of the first native solution, like cross-platform solutions that is compiled to native code, it has much more bigger audience and support from the developers. The other thing is the Xamarin. Xamarin is actually a very good tool, but you must understand that it's mostly assigned to the Microsoft stack and is used within the Microsoft environment. And right now, it is not in the best position because Microsoft is moving to its new visual framework called MAUI, which is containing some of the Windows web forms and also Xamarin inside of it. And because of that, it's not recommended to start with Xamarin right now, because we don't know how well MAUI will go into work, how much better it's going to be working than Xamarin, the current version of Xamarin. So it's pretty unstable. You can't be sure what's going on next. And as I remember, Net Framework 6 will going to be available and released in October or November. And only after that period of time, like 2 months after, it's going to be more or less understandable. Is it going to be a good solution to build a cross-platform mobile applications or not? So right now, I would say that the three competitors like React Native, Flutter, and PWA are the most required and the most popular solutions that you can build. So I'm going to start with the PWA because I haven't spoken about it yet. Basically, it's a specific set of web workers, like additional stuff that you can add to your website to make it more mobile friendly. And you also can install it on your system using the JavaScript hooks that browsers provide. So how does it work? For example, if you go to twitter.com through the web, it will actually ask you, do you want it to add this application to your home screen? And if you tap on, yeah, install this application, it's going to take the browser engine, wrap it as a separate application and install it on your device. So the pros of this solution is mainly the budget. Imagine if you already have a website that has a good mobile layout and you want to build a mobile solution for your application right now. And for example, you're not sure if it's going to be really popular for your web application. You want to test the theory. How does it go to track what amount of users is going to use mobile applications more? You can actually add the PWA. So in general, it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks of work to migrate your application from this default web application to a PWA powered application, because there is not much to do. You just need to add a specific manifests, specific scripts to your web application, and basically that's it. The rest will going to be done by the browser itself. But there's still one, I wouldn't say that the big downside, but still you need to consider it. It's the restrictions of the iOS platform. So Google, for example, allows you to even publish your application, your PWA applications to their market as any other application you can build. While iOS does not allow you to do that at all. And more than that, if it still does not allow you to use notification systems and some of the more smallest restrictions. So they specifically restrict those options so that PWA wouldn't be so popular, because you're basically going to avoid publishing it to their store and share the profit with them. But in all other cases, if you just want to fast go on the mobile market and you already have a web solution, the PWA is a very, very good option, because it's very, very inexpensive. You just need a week or two of work, and basically you have a mobile application in your hands. But what if you want to work on the mobile as your favorite, as your favorite platform? Then in this case, we have two solutions as React Native and Flutter. So this is our two very good technologies, and they have a very, very high performance, which is nearly as close as possible to the native, to be honest. So React Native is basically more complicated than Flutter, I would say, and that's why it works a little bit slower and there are more problems with them. So in our experience, for example, if you just build a React Native solution and in the same time you're going to build a Flutter solution, for Flutter it's going to be easier and faster to go on market, even if the level of developers for the Flutter project will be lower than the level of developers for React Native project. Why is that? React Native works with a very specific set of technologies. So you actually build everything with the JavaScript. This is the JavaScript thread. And it tries to connect everything with the native platform, which is called the UI thread. For example, all of the buttons, all of the lists, all of the images, they're trying to take it from the native platform. So they do not draw everything from the JavaScript itself. But there is a pretty big downside for that. To actually manipulate all of the data, to transfer everything and to display it on your device, you need to send this data from the JavaScript to the native. And that means you need to just drop data fast and forward, backward, and many, many times. And that unfortunately leads to a memory leak. And what a memory leak, it's basically a cluttering of your phone memory. In general, the simplest way to describe it is the more you're going to use your application, the more laggy it will become over time, unfortunately. And that's what React Native is still not able to fix properly. And in addition, it's still in beta. So if you're going to check the React Native website, it's going to say that it has a 0.65 version or something like that. So they haven't been released yet since the 2013 when they started to develop this platform, which is not good, to be honest. The second option is Flutter, which has been built by Google. And this is an extremely good way to build a cross-platform solutions right now. First of all, the way it works. So they have a native layer that's basically allows you to use Bluetooth, allows you to use camera, storage, and all of the hardware of your phone. And for the UI stuff, they use an engine Skia. So you can actually imagine it as the gaming engine. Everything that you see, every button, every list, every image is being drawn by that Skia engine. And all of the data passing, all of the data transformation and displaying is done by the same engine. So they don't need to throw data between layers. The only time they actually need to do that is only when they request something from the native side. Like, for example, I want to get data from the Bluetooth, or I want to get data from the Wi-Fi. In all other cases, they don't need to do that. And it actually gives a very, very high boost of performance. And and in this case, you actually don't need to optimize it well, because the engine itself is very optimized and it's very forgiving. So for example, if you take 2 junior developers for Flutter and you get the 2 middle developers for React Native, it is a pretty big possibility that they're going to do the same thing, the same application within the same period of time. Just because the devs for React Native will have to spend much more time to optimize the solution and to make it work as smooth as possible. And of course, if we think about the future, Flutter already has this version 2. So they released last year in November. And this April, this year, they have released a second version, which actually allows you to build the application with the same code, not only for the Android, iOS, tablets, and phones, but also use the same code to build the web solution, which is kind of cool. They already showed a big amount of the stuff that has been built this way. And the more and more big players like BMW, Toyota, Microsoft even, they are investing into the Flutter. They're trying to build a more and more solutions with Flutter because it works really great. By my own experience as the developer, I would say that they have much more comfortable developer tools. So if like React Native uses the Chrome debugger, like the website debugger, and it's not very informative. You actually you will spend more time fixing some issues there rather than in the Flutter, because Flutter have developer tools just like in native applications. But okay, for example, we say, wow, Flutter is basically the way we can go. So why in this case we would use native? Actually, I would rather use native in the first place if I have a budget, if I have timeline, and if I have a proper team. But also there are some cases that you actually have to use native. You cannot use cross-platform because it will not boost you anyway. It's cases when you need to use some specific toolings like AR, for example. AR neural engines of the phone, or for example, you want to connect your phone to a specific set of hardware that is like sensors, streaming, etc. That actually will require you to build more drivers from the native side. So in this case, you actually won't benefit anything from, for example, Flutter or React Native, because you're still going to have an Android and iOS developer that going to work on those drivers. And in this case, you will get even worse. You will need to have an iOS developer. You will need to have an Android developer, and also you need to have a Flutter developer, which is actually doing the things better. But in all other cases, if you want to build any customer-driven application, it doesn't matter if it's going to be an e-commerce application, it's going to be a fintech application, it's going to be a medtech application. So like I would say 98% of the apps you can build with Flutter or React Native and be happy with the results. Because it will reduce time on to the market. It will reduce your size of the team, and it also will help you to find proper developers for that. So you will not need to hire a good Android developer and good iOS developer. Hire team leads for both of those teams to do the proper work. And again, in most of these cases, you will probably release an updates for your application different time, because one team can go ahead faster than the other team. And in the hybrid platforms, just as BWA, as React Native, as Flutter, you won't have this kind of problem. So to summarize, what I would recommend to use, like in every cases, if you're building from scratch, you don't have a web app and you want to build a mobile application that does not use AR, ML, or any like a very, very native API, and like the most of your application is going to use some specific native APIs, then I would rather go with Flutter. It's fast, it's supported by Google, it's growing very fast, and you will also be able to find a very good developers for this platform. If you have already a web application and you want to go on the mobile market very fast, and right now you don't have the team to build a mobile application, I would go with BWA, because you only add some manifest, you add some of the service workers, and you have, I would say, like almost native application for your project. And of course, for any other cases, if you want to build the maximum performance, maximum stability application, or you will need to use some really, really hardware stuff of the phone and its API, I would go with native. I'm very hopeful that Xamarin will go up again after the net framework will be more popular again, like when it's going to be released, I'm sorry, because it's a competition, it's a very good competition. And unfortunately, I cannot recommend at all solutions like Ionic and PhoneGap. It doesn't matter how much time I used it, and every time it had much, much more flaws than any good productivity. So you always have to fix it. It always goes very unexpected, and it works slow. So in general, there are some of the showcases that you can later on take a look at. I will try to send this presentation after the meeting is going to be done, or you can just write to the email and to get these links if you want to. So maybe, do you have maybe questions that I can answer to you? You can write down them into the chat. Or because there are not many people right there, maybe you can ask them through the voice chat. Try to unmute yourself and say something. Maybe I will be able to hear you. Tom, Charlotte, Alexander, maybe you have something to ask. So don't hesitate. You can ask anything about. It can be specifically your project or something that you're not related to the project at all. Okay.
Okay. I chose Ionic Angular.
You chose Ionic Angular?
Yes. Now I have a new project and I chose Ionic Angular for development.
Well, actually, I would recommend you to take a look also at the PWA if it actually suits your needs. Again, Ionic is, if it's something that you think right now is good for you, you can use, but I don't know what, every time I used it, it had some of the problems that only slow down the development. So if you have a web developers, you can check NativeScript, because NativeScript also works with Angular, and you can write UI with the Angular. And also research PWA. Maybe it's something that will work out for you better than Ionic.
Yes, thank you.
Again, so if you will have more questions in your future, you can just contact us. You can find me on LinkedIn. Give me a second, I will try to find a link for the LinkedIn. So you can go here. And if you will have questions, maybe you will want some help to support, just you can write it down there, and I will try to answer as soon as possible. And for now, basically, that's all I wanted to tell. So, and because there are no questions, if you also interested in the discovery phase, how does it go? So you can jump to the main room and wait there. As far as I remember, there is 10 minutes left until the next presentation will start. Okay, so thanks everyone for your attention. I was very happy to tell everything I know right now about the cross-platform. Again, if you will have time, just search on LinkedIn, and then after we can decide in what channel of communication will be more interesting or more comfortable for you to speak, and decide how we can move forward. So thanks everyone for your time, for your attention, and have a good day.
Yeah, I just turned on a recording. Hope it's okay for everyone. This will be recorded for future sharing of our meeting and this particular stream. So thank you for joining us. This stream will be about the healthcare trends and innovations, like basically the future of healthcare industry. As we know, it's this industry grew up incrementally for last few years, and all big players foresee further growth and transformation of the whole industry. Like COVID-19 pandemic is placing enormous strain on the global health sector, workforce, infrastructure, and supply chain. It's accelerating a change across the ecosystem, and of course, public and private health companies adapt their systems in a really short period. Today, we hear a lot about the COVID, about the pandemic, and all the things every day, and we are dreaming about to switch the attention and forget about all this. But specifically, worldwide pandemic made a huge push on government and investors and big companies to change the industry. And I'm afraid that this such rapid disruption wasn't possible without COVID. So here are the main trends of healthcare. As you see, I highlighted 7 of them, and the main one, and listed them from top priority to lower. Top priority is a telemedicine and a wheelchair care. Then it goes artificial intelligence, internet, medical things, wearable devices, data interoperability, 5G networks, mental health and emotional well-being, and the cloud solution. Let's stick with trend number one. It's telemedicine and virtual care. Due to COVID, it spread widely around the globe and demonstrated good results in patient care. Most patients would like to use it, telemedicine, even once the pandemic ends. According to Deloitte survey respondents, most consumers are satisfied with their virtual visit and say that they will use this type of care again. In addition, virtual visits can also help reduce cost delivery for providers and customers. Now that customers and health systems have experienced the convenience and effectiveness of virtual care, it might be difficult to turn back the clock. As virus spread and safety concerns grew, virtual interaction became a necessity. Seemingly overnight, virtual health technology became an essential component in care delivery, enabling clinicians and patients to stay connected via video chats, phone calls, text, emails. When COVID-19 lockdown and quarantine precluded in-person appointments. Similarly, telehealth, telepharmacy, virtual hospital at home programs aided by regulatory and payer policy changes and extending and enhancing the care continuum. The most important aspect of telehealth success is patient adoption. Since most patients are comfortable with telehealth solution, it's clear that industry has a strong future. One of most important technologies behind the telemedicine apps is WebRTC and different open source API-based systems. They connect web browsers and mobile applications of doctors and patients. One of the most important aspects of WebRTC that make it essential for telemedicine is its versatility. This can enable useful features like text and video chat, screen share, and file transfer, including medical mobile applications and different integrations. Such applications are widely used for physician-patient interactions and doctor-to-doctor consultations online. Healthcare workers that have mostly been using technology such approach for telemedicine, while it has managed to allow communication between healthcare professionals and patients. It has limitation with regards to examinations and monitoring. According to researchers, the inclusion of haptic tools will allow healthcare workers easily assimilate with patients even when interacting remotely while producing more robust information. This is the most significant trend nowadays. Hello. Someone deep join us. Nice to meet you. I will mute you. Turn off your mic or okay, let's continue. The second trend, and it's a large one and major one, it's artificial intelligence against the COVID, and not only against the COVID. As we see, 54% of customers say that are willing to engage AI and robotics for their healthcare needs. AI uses algorithms and machine learning to analyze and interpret data, deliver personalized experience, and automate repetitive and expensive healthcare operations. These functions have the potential to augment the work of operational and clinical staff in decision-making, reduce time spent on administrative tasks, and allow a human to focus on challenging and impactful management and clinical work. For example, AI-based solutions can effectively streamline diagnosis and treatment process by using large amount of structured and unstructured medical data across hospitals and health systems. This can aid physicians in clinical decision makers by providing them with real-time data-driven insight that they can adjust and implement based on their personal expertise. AI-powered solution can also assist in accurately scheduling and planning clinical staff rotation, a major challenge for health systems since the onset of pandemic, by factoring in operational constraints such as the number of staff, availability, skills, and specific equipment required. AI also can minimize patient risk by identifying medication errors that traditional rule-based clinical decision support systems are unable to detect, while also reducing alert fatigue and false positives, one of the reasons for physicians' burnout. The ability of AI to examine large amounts of information quickly can help hospital and health plan administrators optimize performance, increase productivity, improve resource utilization, resulting in time and cost efficiency. Additionally, AI-based solution can speed up and spread the insight generation process by allowing an organization to gain the holistic picture it needs to make data-driven decisions. Finally, AI can also deliver personalized experience by facilitating conversations with patients through virtual assistants. By the way, if someone has questions during the speech, you can type it in messages, and once we will finish, we will have a question and answer session for 5-10 minutes. So if you have questions and you would like to ask it, please wait till the end. Thank you. The next trend is Internet of Medical Things, IoMT. It's different devices from various companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, Fitbit, Garmin, and many others. Wearable devices included different smart gadgets, skin patches, sensors, embedded clothing, and devices worn on the body. Their functionality allowed to measure heart rate, skin temperature, and other health indicators to determine how effective they were in detecting and monitoring COVID-19 or other disease in their users. Wearable health monitor could help identify remotely when a person's health takes a turn to worse, allowing the earlier medical intervention when needed and improving the patient's chance for recovery. Growing number of customers are using technologies to monitor their health, measure fitness, and other prescription drugs refills. More than 3/4 of those who track their health say it changes their behavior to at least moderately. Possible appliance like scan, illness, and detections, including pandemic and not only COVID pandemic, monitoring of chronic disease, thermal screening, and in the result of it, gaining the data and then analysis it for prevention and prediction of different illnesses. As you see, there are different proposals, different devices, and different functionality they are able to provide their users with. 5G networks is something that we are waiting in future, and it allows us to do the next step. Like 5G features could prove valuable in many areas of healthcare, including telehealth, remote surgery, transfer large medical files, tracking patient movements inside facilities, using wearable devices for real-time monitoring, and delivering continual treatment information and support to patients. In short, 5G promises to provide essential levels of connectivity to enable a new health ecosystem, one that can meet patients and providers' needs accurately, efficiently, conveniently, cost-effectively, and substantial scale. 5G networks is capable of achieving speeds approximately 100 times faster than 4G networks, while also handling vastly more connections. And these advantages are strengthened by ultra-low latency, the time it takes to the network to process a request. As use of 5G in healthcare increases in future, with its application boosted by advanced in robotics, IoT, and AI, a new connected healthcare ecosystem will take shape. This ecosystem will align with a relatively recent idea known as 4P medicine, that is predictive, preventative, personalized, and participatory. To realize the full potential of 5G networks in healthcare, sorry, someone, yeah, hi David and Craig. I will mute you guys for a while. If you have any questions, you can write it, type in chat, or ask it in the end of this stream. We'll have a QA session. Okay. To realize the full potential of 5G networks in healthcare settings, network security and data privacy are paramount. Nothing is more sensitive than individuals' medical records, and in order for patients and participants in the healthcare value chain to freely use without fear of data theft, advanced communications programs for healthcare interaction and activities. 5G networks that serve as a backbone must be protected from cyber intruders. 5G networks could help transform healthcare, providing networking reliability, speed, and scale that advance medicine, patient services, treatment, and wellness program in significant ways, as we've seen in examples described above. But with so many new ideas floating around this topic these days, especially as a pandemic reminds us how weak and fragile our healthcare system can be in the face of natural disease. We believe that healthcare companies and healthcare technology providers should determine the soundness of their purpose 5G applications by testing to see if they would be markedly improved by any one on three primary advantages of this network: ultra-fast broadband, ultra-low latency, and massive machine connectivity. So let's see. Some other trends, which is a not so significant one that I mentioned before, but still I would like to highlight them. One of them is data interoperability. A new value chain is emerging around health data. Individuals are experiencing a data explosion through wearables and growing numbers of always-on sensors in home, at work, or in medical environment. This data will increasingly be used for personalized insight and interventions, and primarily aimed at vitality prevention and early diagnosis. This will create a new data value chain, offering opportunities for existing players and new entrants in data collection, data analysis, translating analysis to personalized insights and interventions for patients, and accessing this insight through a user-friendly visual interface. Okay. One of successful case I would like to say, it's finalist Kanta services. They had a great example of radical data interoperability in action. They launched it in 2010s as a national health infrastructure and archive. Kanta services includes electronic patient records, e-prescription, imaging, and other test data, electronic social care documents, and personal health and well-being records. The records are always up to date, available to clinicians nationwide to add real-time information. Patients have control over the flow of their data, can view their full health record, and can request repeat prescription via online services. Patients' data repository allows centralized archiving of archiving of electronic patient data, as well as active data use and storage. It plays a key role in sharing information between healthcare providers. The other team I would like to emphasize, it's cloud solutions. Cloud computing is increasingly seen as a solution to improve health system, IT infrastructure, and reduce costs due to its ability to process and deliver data in an efficient, collaborative manner and analyze data into meaningful information. Cloud enable healthcare organizations to move from a highly centralized approach in which each organization acquires and maintains the requisite hardware, software, staff, regardless of whether the resources are used at full capacity, to decentralized approach in which they have real-time, easy-to-use remote access to data, paying cloud services providers only for what they use, storage, applications, or infrastructure. Now it's time for hospitals and health systems put their cloud strategies into action. Initially, efforts are likely to focus on migrating EHRs, enabling remote care and remote work, producing scalable virtual desktop. Analytics expect more transformation work to follow, such as enabling remote call centers, integrating video conferencing, remote care with EHRs, and configuring the appropriate tools, software, and technologies to deliver and manage IT infrastructure to power the future of health. The other trend, it's mental health and emotional well-being. This trend is not so, I would say it's hidden a bit, because many countries, many people just silently go through this. As pandemic and lockdown revealed mental health problems across the globe. Prolonged isolation and physical distancing measures demonstrating how social connection contributes to physical health as well as mental and emotional well-being. Isolation can have significant impact on health outcomes, which long-term effect of loneliness, similar to those caused by smoking or obesity. Studies show that the people who do not feel connected to others are more likely to catch a cold, experience depression, develop heart disease, have lower cognitive functions, and live a shorter life in general. Approximately 10% of world's population is affected by mental, neurological, and sustainable disorders, making mental health a leading cause of ill health and disability. Globally, it's estimated about 264 million people suffer from depression. Combining telemedicine implementation like mobile app or web application and AI chatbots may help patients to share problems and be heard. Survey responders displayed that the communication with a chatbot is more convenient for consumers compared with psychologists. Obviously, the doctor will get structured and summarized information for the further therapy. It's it about the trends, and it sounds really promising as for me. Following the conversation, I can't go over the problems that all these changes will bring us. Like all these mentioned trends handle a lot of data, and it appeared another important concern like privacy and possible illegal use of this data. For example, it could be easy for an employer to mandate all employees wear different devices 24/7 as a condition of employment and use data gathered by these devices to determine how much health insurance will cost, or even determine if someone is too much of health risk to employ at all. An intrusive government agency could make it obligatory for COVID-19 patients to keep their trackers on even after recovery to monitor long-term effect. While the data would be useful for health officials, it could be seen as invasion of privacy. At the same time, like when we have in such massive data and possible illegal use of it, 60% of consumers feel comfortable to share their personal health data over virtual health technology. And 85% of physicians believe that radical interoperability and data sharing will become a standard practice in near future. In general, what I would like to say that this problem should be carefully handled and regulated by the government. Basically, that's it. All the trends I would like to highlight that I already said. Like to sum up, all these trends and transformation of healthcare industry grew up incrementally in a really short period, and it appeared a lot of problems, and many companies, especially small companies, are not ready for such changes. But we will have to stick with it and transform all the processes already and start it from today. So in our company would be glad to help, and me personally. Thank you for attention. Here is my contact information. If someone has anything to write me or ask me, I would be glad to help.
So hello, everyone. My name is Vitaliy, and I am CTO at Computools. And together with me is Oleg. He's the CTO at Computools. And today we're going to tell you about the discovery phase. Okay, so let's begin with understanding of what is discovery phase. In general, it's a process where a team gathers information about the project and formalizes it. It is needed to do several things. First is define project goals. Every project is built to provide value and helps clients to achieve their goals. At discovery phase, development teams define those goals and values together with client for a better understanding of the product. Next important thing is sync vision with client. At this step, team speaks with the client and gathers project requirements. And after that, they build a documentation based on those requirements and discuss it with the client to get final approval. The third thing is find the best approaches to meet project goals. The team always searches for the optimal way to reach clients' goals. And by optimal, we meet a ratio between speed, flexibility, and cost. In this case, the most optimal way is the cheapest option that will be able to meet clients' needs. And last one is the build project blueprint. This one is quite simple. If we imagine that we want to build a house, we understand that without a proper architecture, we are probably going to face multiple risks. We will not be sure about house integrity, if it will stand for a long time, and in fact, we even won't be sure that it will look like we want it to. And the most important, we probably spend much more money to build it right. And this same rules apply to IT products. We need to build a proper architecture to have an understanding of project complexity, its cost, and be able to sync vision with the client. So why is discovery phase required? Without discovery phase, it is not rare to get next risks, to be honest. The first one is development team does not understand the client's vision and goals of the project. It might sound a little bit strange, but it's the most common issue. It is extremely important to always synchronize vision between the team that's going to work on the project and the client. Because even simpler things, like, for example, a profile page is something that can be viewed differently based on everyone's experience. But it's not critical as misunderstanding the core concepts of the project that may lead to rewriting the whole core from the beginning, spending budget for nothing, and missing all possible deadlines. In addition, without proper planning, we may face with the case of missing hidden risks that may lead to situation that project just cannot be done in the end. For example, if we take the fintech industry, if you miss the regulator as a stakeholder, you just won't be able to release a product in the future, which actually is like the critical stuff. So the next thing is that a lot of changes from the client side can happen because of the business reason. So without the detailed strategy, study, and client's changes fixation, it is possible that all new requirements might be too expensive to implement. In case of discovery phase, most of the moments will be discussed and finalized in the planning phase before the estimation begins. So it won't be done during the development. You already know all of the stuff that you're going to work for. You already research all of the risks that you're going to work for. So you, in the end, you will just know what you're going to have in the end. The next risk is weak and not flexible technical solutions. If the team does not plan proper architecture for the project, it may cause a case where it won't be possible to implement features due to the current project architecture, or what is most common, increased time and budget spent on new features because of the architecture restrictions. And also it is possible that the team will spend too many time on over engineering the simplest things, even if it doesn't not need it for the project. And the last one, but not least, is lost deadlines at budget limits. Well, that's a pretty simple one. If team does not understand what they need to build, they will give very inaccurate estimates all of the time. And as a result, it is probably you're going to miss all of the deadlines, and you will just don't know all of the budget limitations. You will just going to spend more and more and more, and probably don't get what you actually wanted to. So next thing, let's speak about the discovery phase team composition. Mainly, it consists of a business analyst. It's a person who is going to speak with the client and the team directly. It's his responsibility to get together project requirements, goals, and formalize them. Also, business analysts will analyze competitors, perform business research, and will help clients with ideas generation. Next person is an architect. Architect is responsible for tech researches, technical consultancy, and estimation of the development part. Next person is the UX designer. And this person performs UX research and prototypes, also takes part in the estimates for the design. And the last two people is the project manager and lead QA. Project manager is a person who is going to control implementation of all the artifacts, is going to support business analyst, manage project risks, manage team to meet project deadlines. And lead QA, general, builds the testing strategy for the project and also checks stories for the business analyst, just to make sure that everything looks correct. So what is the discovery phase plan? So the first things first, we need to define product scope and synchronize vision with the client. As I mentioned before, in very many times, it is very important to synchronize vision between the team and the client. The team must have proper vision of the project, and at this phase, the most active roles are going to be business analyst and architect. After that, team formalizes the scope and develop wireframes. At this phase, it is important to formalize project scope, develop ubiquitous language. And this is basically a set of terminology that is going to be understandable for both client and team. For example, if word unit for different domains in specific project, it have different meanings. For someone, it will be a staff member, but for other domain, it's going to be a single product in the store. Also, at this phase, business analyst, UX designer, and architects work together and perform multiple researches to make sure that the team can implement project goals. And in the end, QA lead checks their work result and builds strategy. Next thing what's going on is architecture. At this phase, the architects start to build proper architecture based on the project goals and his research, and based on all of the requirements that was gathered in the previous phases. It is very important to exclude unnecessary optimization, over-engineering, and focus on building a product that will be easy to improve and support. At this stage, architects take major part, but still we have multiple consultancy with business analysts and UX specialists. And the last one is estimation. Here, team focuses on business requirements for budget and deadlines. And based on those requirements, the team picks best option regarding scope, budget, and deadlines. And in the end, provide results that the client can use for his planning. At this phase, basically the whole team is active. As about the next thing, I would like to give word to Oleg. He will proceed with other steps.
Yep, hello everyone. Let's dive a little bit deep in discovery phase and review each point a little bit more detail. I want to add to discovery plan, as usually we don't work like the step by step. This is like the circle process. We start defining scope, define some points. After that, we start formalization and continue defining from other domain. So I will explain it a little bit more detail in next step. First point, define scope. We start from getting stakeholders and try to get all stakeholders for a project. Really important, don't miss anybody. For example, if we want to start something vintage project, really important, don't take in attention interests for example, our clients, for our investors, from managers of this product, but also the government interest, because government implement regulator role, and in case if we miss some points from order, we even can start project. Second point, we formalize user roles and abilities. This is also really important document, and we build it based on stakeholders. In this document, we include all roles what will be in the project. Some group of stakeholders can be present in project like the one role, or even the one stakeholder can be present like the couple of roles. This is not often, but can happen. To each stakeholder, we add abilities. Abilities, this is main function which can implement or can get from project each user role. This document will be like the core framework of our additional agreement with clients. Because we understand the world is flexible, we can't be unflexible. We use agile approach in development phase, we use Scrum framework, and hardly fix it, only a budget, deadline, and set of user roles and abilities. In the future, we can work with implementation of each ability in more detail or less detailed way. Next one is a project map. You can see some example in this document. This is a visualization for user roles and abilities. After that, we start working with business risk for current project. We try to understand, try to get as much as we can, what can happen wrong, not in technical part, but in business part of the project. Additional and really important part for this stage, this is two-step verification. Really important to understand client as well as we can. So then we discuss something. In our call, we write the documentation and provide this documentation to our client. And after that, client read it and provide approve. In this case, we cannot be sure in 100%, but in 90%, we can sure we're on the same page and can move forward. After a defined scope, we're working on specification and wireframe. If in previous step, we mostly get requirements, get information about stakeholders, get information about client business, and get information from like the external system, risks. Here, we try to collect all this point, make composition and decomposition for application. Write as stories, develop the wireframes, which available for our developers to start work. We start from writing user story. We write a user story based to user abilities. It's a little bit more detailed information. As usual, user story start as user I can, as client I can. Okay, let's not stop such detail in this point. After that, we increase each story by user journey. This is positive flow. Not only as user I can, but how, what action I should implement, what response I will get from system. Based to user journey, we start working with wireframes. Working with wireframes, this is an iterative process. We show wireframes to our client. We show, of course, documentation too, but wireframes really help here. And when we get agreement based on each screen, we can move forward. Also, QA work on verification. This professional try to understand some logical gap in user stories, try to understand is user stories cover all user roles and abilities, and also is we take or don't take something wrong. After that, QA reviews user journeys. Is it correct? Is it help to implement user story? Is we have logical gap? Same with wireframe. After that, we start working on test strategy. In this document, we explain how we will test, what we will test, what a list of devices will be supported in 100%, in what devices we will make testing. After all these steps, we get like the additional approval from client because we really want to be on the same page. I repeat this a couple of times, but it's really important. After that, we start working with architecture. So, like I told before, we don't finish all formalization of scope, and only after we start working with architecture. We split application to component and move component by component. Also, we don't wait until we finish all formalization each component. For example, I am like architect. If I'm involved in project, start working with Ubiquitous, then user story will be ready on like the 50% of current domain because I understand, okay, we should implement this and this, and I can start write main terms. So what we have in architecture for us? Ubiquitous language, this is like the single, this is not dictionary, this is a language, and whole team, include a client, try to use words from this dictionary in our meetings, in our conversation, in documentation, and also we use these words in source code in domain layer. Each word have detailed definition based on business word and definition based on our system. This definition should be fully understandable for developers and from experts and client side. Next point is researches. We also can start researches even before we start working on user story. Here we review all integration. Here we also review some hard and technical parts point. Without these researches, we can't provide accurate estimation and can't get optimal technical solution. After that, we start working with domain map. We try to split the whole application to domains and subdomains. A domain, this is like the first point, a boundary context of ubiquitous language, and point which implement some tasks from some group of stakeholders. For example, if we review the company, HR department can be one domain, financial department can be other domain, like the delivery can be domain too. Each domain has a context, for example, user. In HR department, this is one set of fields, one functionality. A user in financial department, this is other points. After domain map, we start working with architecture requirements. Before, we discussed technical requirements of what project should do. Architecture requirements with a set of goals, rules, and principles which help developer implement all requirements, technical and non-technical, in optimal way. When I told optimal, I mean based on client request. Maybe it will be as fast as we can. Maybe it will be optimal budget usage, so with less budget, other points. It's really important because if we skip this part, we will get all functionality, but project can take in times more time and money than if we implement this step well. Last one, this is choosing technical stack. Based on all previous getting information, we decide what technology will help us to build the project as well as we can. In this case, we include like the ability of each platform, also how we can scale team, for example. For some clients, really important time for getting new developer on board. If you review this point, okay. Last one, this is estimation. This is also really important point, and this point we implement only when we finish full discovery phase, describe architecture and formalize requirements for each domain. Here, we try to make the composition of whole project, not to task user story orientability, but to technical task. In this stage, main player is business analyst who explain what we should implement, technical lead from each technology platform, and architect. We split full requirements to small tasks from 8 to 16 hours. Of course, sometimes we add a task with more estimate if we understand how it should be implemented. Calculate all numbers and base it on these numbers, provide to client budget and deadlines. Also in this stage, we try to formalize all technical risks and include the cost of risks in estimation or in additional documents. To technical risks, we also include some points dependent on third-party integration, if we can predict it. So I think this is all based on discovery phase. Please ask any question. I try to answer. You can type in chat.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Alexis and I am a business developer for Computools from Belgium. Right now, Belgium is playing against Denmark. We're losing with 1-0, so please cheer for our team. Together with Alexander, I'm going to talk about how to find reliable software development partners. I'm going to do a small bit, and then Alexander is going to do a small bit, and after that, we're going to do a small networking session. So choosing a software development partner is very important. It's like choosing a boss to work for, or it's like choosing an employee, because you're going to work together for a while. And if you have a good connection and a good match from the beginning, it for sure will help a lot. I'm going to go over some bullet points that we have gathered to give you an idea of what to look for. These are things we find important, but of course, for every client or person or business, this can change. These are the small points I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Corona a bit, about working remotely and outsourcing, then some benefits of IT partners, then some challenges you might face if you're looking for a partner, how to choose, what to ask, and then a small conclusion. So the most important thing is that for some people, they like a very personal approach, so they will ask more for like a one-on-one approach with developers. Some businesses sometimes need a very fast solution, so they don't really care about personal stuff. They just want quick software solutions. Sometimes a project needs a very specific team, a very specific skill set. So these are all things that can vary. So as everything in life and work, it all depends on the situation. So I'm going to talk a bit about Corona. 1 second. So when Corona started, it had an impact on all our lives. For us, a little bit differently because we are used to work remotely. But during Corona, a lot of people had to start working remotely, and all the remote jobs and applications skyrocketed. So thousands of companies started embracing the work from home solutions because it had very good results. And our line of work, it's something we know for a while, but during Corona, it has increased as well. And a lot of people find it easier to hire remote because they're used to working remote now. So why would you choose a remote partner? Remote is here to stay. There's a big spike in remote jobs. It will keep increasing. And as I said before, everyone experienced a lot of benefits from remote work and remote partnerships. Benefits. So I just made 3 small points to give you a general idea of what are the benefits of remote work and IT partners. So it's very advantageous. So outsourcing your IT services can be a lot more interesting than keeping an on-site team of developers. They require offices, workspace, software updates, equipment, and so on. If you work with remote partners, all these things you won't have to provide. You just have to pay for the hours of development work. You also don't have to worry about vacations and sickness and so on. Flexibility is also a very, very important point for the developers and for the clients. So if by some problem the client needs to change developers or needs to change partners, it's a lot easier than firing and rehiring staff in-house. Of course, if you work with remote partners, they will try to prevent this. Also, by working with IT specialists from various fields, you enlarge your pool of knowledge, and you also get access to all the latest technologies that developers have gathered. So you have a lot of flexibility on that part. Then for variety, what do we mean? Outsourcing your IT services enables you to get a variety of services at the same time. So you can get design advice, you can also get quality assurance because you work with an IT company as a partner. Also, if there's like a problem in your team or with your development, you can ask the IT partner or the developer who's working with you. And most of the time he will ask inside his company and use the collective knowledge to solve the problem. This way, you don't need to hire a specialist for every process in the software development. With a partner, they will usually take care of that for you. What are the common challenges when looking for a partner? Finding relevant technical expertise. There are a lot of players in the IT market, and this will only grow. So in order to find the software company that will best suit your needs, you should carefully examine the companies and their area of expertise to make sure it's consistent with what your business needs. Assessing the development skills. This basically means check the coding skills of the developer. If you're a company that doesn't have any software people or IT people, this can be challenging. So it's best to either ask your IT partner or someone in your network to check for to assess these skills. And also thirdly, understanding the markets. Finding a partner requires you to know your market, to know the tech trends of your market. And after that, you have to form an opinion of what solutions you might need for your business. Also, again, IT partners can help in this phase. Then we have next slide. So how do you choose? First of all, you need to define your purpose. You should know, roughly speaking, what it is that you want developed, why you want it, and what it should be able to do. If you know this roughly, so the point is you discuss this, of course, with your IT partner, then you should do a lot of research into companies, look into competitors, look for similar software, etc. I put Clutch and GoodFirm here. So these are research-based platforms, which will give you more information on how and where to discover IT companies. Thirdly, you can check for testimonials. Normally you find these on websites and on LinkedIn. Testimonials are a simple way of checking the reputation of the developers and the companies. You can also contact old clients and ask about working experience. Normally this information should be available on the website. Otherwise you can just ask or mail them to ask for references. Case studies. If there are no testimonials you can rely on, or you want more proof, you can always check the case studies. Again, these should be provided by the company. The company's portfolio is a quick way and an easy way to check the level of expertise, to check their projects, so you can determine if it's a good match for you. Then lastly, you can interview the candidates. This is the most important part, of course. After you have done all the research, alongside video chatting with the sales managers or like the business developers, it's also very important to interact with the developers themselves, because they, of course, will do all the work and develop the software for your business. Then we have what to ask once you're in an interview. Of course, you should ask about the pricing. What does everything cost on the long term, on the short term? It's always important to not look for the cheapest prices and the cheapest alternatives. Look for a nice balance between Confidentiality basically means protecting yourself. Every serious IT company has NDAs ready to protect your private information, because if you're going to work a long time together and exchange information during your collaboration, it's important that everyone's is feeling safe. Communication tools, best, especially if you have a time difference, it's best to decide before when you will have meetings to discuss product details, etc. Company culture is, I think, one of the most important things is to get along. If you want to build a good business relationship, your partner, IT partner, and the client, they should embrace the same goals. If you have a good and similar mindset, you will be able to make quick decisions and quick actions when times get difficult or when something comes up. So the better you get along and the better your communication is, of course, the more easy the project will follow. Then I put some example interview questions you can ask your IT partners or your developers. Basically, when working with remote teams, what were some of the challenges you faced? This is also always a good question because to know how they work with problems. How do you schedule your workday? This is important to know. Do they report to a team leader? Do they work independently? How does the company work? What are the hours? Always important to know. Have you worked with a distributed team? And how did that work within different time zones? Again, for example, if you have someone in Ukraine, someone in America, someone in Europe and Belgium, how do you overcome this obstacle? Communication tools have mentioned before. Always better to use one, but everyone uses a different one, so it's always best to use one. These are just example questions. Then finally, I think this is the conclusion for me for now. In my opinion, the best possible partner will always be on the same page with you. Through communication and collaboration, you will get the best results. So make sure you use the same tools. Everyone knows exactly what needs to be done. And if you follow these steps, I think you will find a very good IT partner. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alexis. Let me take a word and continue. So do you see the presentation as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexander Azmanov, and I'm Business Development Manager at Computools. And today we are going to discuss practical points. How to find a reliable software development partner for your business. Let me click this slide. Okay, here we go. In this presentation, I was trying to really cover practical points that came from my personal experience and the feedback from my clients as well. On this slide, you can see the content of part 4 today. Each company and each owner is concerned about the question, how can company become competitive and maintain competitiveness in all business processes? And this is the main task for the organization managers. Here we go. The company leaders and people responsible for outsourcing projects in the company needs to decide from the outset what the company expects from the agreement. Most managers these days are familiar with like 3 main reasons for outsourcing: desire to focus on the core activity, the need to improve the quality of service, and urgent need to reduce costs. Almost all the first steps are aimed at closing a deal with a service provider, and afterwards they usually spend little time on it and putting out of attention. In the management of the company considers the reasons for outsourcing to be well known and obvious, then it was not able to analyze in time its own reasons for such actions. Long before making any personal or potential service provider, client must decide exactly what he wants to achieve. On the next slide, number 4, before contacting any particular company, it is necessary to imagine the profile of ideal service provider. What should special skills and how many should its employee have? Next point is if a service provider experiences a shortage of specialists or you're no longer satisfied with their professional level after the project has started in the implementation phase. Would you agree to involve subcontractors, for example? One of the also important points, like, do you consider that necessary that the service provider has experience with your direct competitors for the implementation of similar work? In other words, it's important to this company understand your business. By what parameters do you want to evaluate the size of the potential providers? The number of people working on your project or total number of employees in the company? In other words, creating the ideal profile of the future service provider is very important and can save time, energy, and narrow the search range. Now, point two, talk to old client. What does it mean? Before making it is a good idea to ask each of potential service provider for a permission to speak to at least one of their old or current customer about the service that they are currently receiving. Naturally, service providers are worried knowing that even the most satisfied customer has limit of the patience which can quickly be achieved if they are often disturbed. However, they understand that prospect is considering a long-term relationship and they are willing to do so. When conducting such communication with references, it should be taken into account that the person with whom you are talking may hope for an improvement in the quality of service, and they will not want to upset the service provider, even if the service doesn't correspond to his wishes. Normally, references are busy and giving like short answers without any details. And to get a full picture of situation, I personally recommend questions like this. Has the service provider kept his promises? Did he meet your expectation? And what of the important questions which are always asking working, what would you change if you had start over with this service provider? Answer to these kind of questions do not necessarily lead to criticism. Therefore, the conversation takes a turn and the potential client will have the opportunity to learn much more about activities and service provider. Talking to old customers is the best way to get information about how well potential suppliers are suitable for a customer in the short or long term. Now, point number 3, how many suppliers to choose for negotiations? For those clients who are going to make a short list of potential service providers, always have the next question: how many potentials should they choose? I personally can confirm that communication with like 3 or 4 service provider is associated with a large volume of work, and this load could be reduced in the consultant, for example, involvement. In most cases, 2 or 3 service providers from a short list are sufficient to meet the needs of any client. However, the demonstration of their effectiveness depends on the quality of the selection process. Let's go to point number 3, partnership concept development. Once a suitable service provider has been selected, both parties must agree on the basis on which they indeed to cooperate. In this stage, it is necessary to define concept partnership in the field of outsourcing. Both parties understand that a rigid agreement will limit their relations too much, and they need to be flexible enough to maximize the benefits from taking advantage of new opportunities. They outlined what they want to achieve. When concluding a partnership agreement, a general contract is often used, slightly modified in those parts that related to the performance of work. It can be outstaffing model, which is own parameters and criteria. It could be a solution type project, which full management on a site of the service provider. Usually, a separate document is attached in the contract or clause included in defining the responsibilities for both parties. At the same time, Such contracts or agreements must be flexible enough to allow the service provider to use their ways to achieve the desired goals. And finally, point number 5, when to inform your staff about possible of outsourcing. The most common answer for this question is the sooner the better. Nevertheless, to understanding the issue, it is necessary to call on the common sense for help. The time to spend on preparation for the transfer of department is on average 6 to 1 year. At least 90% of organizations that decided to outsource their IT department will outsource this function to a service provider, normally within 9 to 18 months. Sometimes negotiation process takes many months and should take into account unquality and dissatisfied employees because of long wait, and they know what to do basically. Those who believe that employees should be immediately notified, I will give example when junior specialists were not informed about the start of the outsourcing project inside the company, and they unfortunately bought a house or apartments next to work. Obviously, who made such a decision, and after a few months, they learned about the upcoming move, were very upset. Those who are against advice notification of employees will recall the case when the staff was told about the possibility of outsourcing, but for some reason the project were not implemented. As a result, I recommend announcing when the service provider is already chosen. From the moment, from that moment, management chooses to outsource, they should immediately start working on the details of the deal to keep staff informed and ensure the smooth transaction, let's say, of the knowledge and integration between departments. Here was the main part. Okay, also my marketing team suggested adding some cats in presentation. I'm sure everyone loves it. So here is a cats, and don't forget about dogs, of course. Guys, here was our event. Now we are moving to, thank you. I already see some reaction there. And now we are moving to the networking part.